Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well and ready to do some yoga, ready to move with me a little bit this morning. Yeah, and get yourself grounded. I know it's kind of a little bit of a dreary morning. We've got a little bit of rain and everything, so that's okay. We're going to still move and breathe, tap into our body, tap into our deep spirit, and bring those all into balance with some movements today. Sound good? All right, let's get to it. Now, if you happen to have, and I probably should have mentioned this in my announcement here, but if you happen to have a strap handy, or hi Stacy, or if you happen to have a very thin throw, I was utilizing this just the other day. So if you happen to have one of these, a beach towel or one of these fleece throws that you can kind of just roll up a little bit and make thin, that will be an alternative to a strap. Grab it, a beach towel or this, or maybe a belt or something like that. So we're going to utilize that as well. If you happen to have an oblong shaped pillow or bolster from your bed or from a couch or something like that, that would also be helpful. You don't absolutely have to have this, but we're going to do something towards the end of our practice that's going to open up our shoulders. And our theme for today is just really finding lightness within our lives and opening up our hearts, okay? So we're going to utilize that to help us there as well. And as well, if you have books, or if you have some cardboard boxes that have some weight into them that you can substitute for blocks, that's great too. If you happen to have blocks, bring those along with you. So just utilizing a few more props this time if you have them. I've got my blocks here, but if you have books, that's perfectly fine as well. Now, we're going to utilize our strap early on, so if you want to keep that handy, or your throw or your beach towel, do that as well. So, oh, hi, Julie. Oh my gosh, my friend Julie, she's tuning in from North Carolina. I love it. I love it. Okay, so today what we're going to do, we're going to start down actually on our backs, okay? Just really starting to tune into our breath. And I don't know about you, but we've had some beautiful days here. So I've been really active, and I'm feeling like I needed a little bit more grounding. So that's why I want us to start there today. But don't worry, we're going to move, okay? But this is going to feel good because we're really going to tap into our breath. I want you to bring along with you your towel, your throw, okay? And we're going to utilize that to open up our hamstrings and our hips a little bit, okay? So come down on your back, and then you have the option of lengthening your legs out, but if it's more comfortable for you to have your knees bent and your feet flat on the mat, go ahead and do that as well, okay? So you find that comfortable position, and then I'm going to bring my hands with my fingers in this diamond shape, and then bring that shape around my belly. And just begin to focus on my breath and making sure that my breath is coming from deep within my belly. Now, a lot of times as we approach our breath, we notice our breath coming from our chest. That chest breathing is more of an anxious type of breath. So if it's up here in your chest, do your best to bring it down within the belly. Breathe deep within the belly. Allow your breath to slow down a little bit. Allow it to deepen and to widen. Feel the belly swell with every inhale. Feel the navel relaxing back towards the spine with every exhale. Just tap into that breath. Just begin to notice what's happening as we approach our practice here, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally. What's your mindset? Are you in a little bit more positive mindset? Are you a little bit more negative today? No judgments there, just noticing. Are you feeling calm and collected? Or are you feeling a little bit more scattered and anxious? Once again, no judgments, just noticing. Just tune in to your body and just notice what's happening, any sensations that you might be feeling. So do a little quick body scan from your toes all the way up your legs to your belly and your chest all the way up to the front of your head. What's happening? Is there anything that you need to pay attention to? Maybe some soreness, some tinges here or there. What are you noticing that you might need to adjust for in your practice? Maybe nothing, which is awesome, but maybe there's a few things. And that's where I want you to alter your practice, maybe make some modifications if you need to, okay? And just honor your body every time you move. And as we still are here, focusing on your breath, I want you to begin picturing yourself being bathed by a bright light in the entire body, and become a witness to that image. So it's like you're picturing yourself, almost picturing yourself hovering over yourself on your mat, and that bright light is just all over every inch of your body. And think about what that light represents for you. It can represent so many different things. Does that bright light mean self-awareness? Does it mean hope? Does it mean strength? Maybe it's a combination of those things. Maybe it's kindness or humility. Whatever it may be. Focus on what that means to you. And focus on just your body being bathed in that light. And as you do that, clear your mind of everything that's going on, all those scattered thoughts, everything that's happening in your outside world. Just let it all go for now. Like all of those concerns and worries or to-do lists are being taken away with the breeze. You're going outside the door and wherever you're practicing, shutting that door and allowing the universe to take care of it for this next hour. Now, maybe some of you who are accustomed to Ujjayi breath might begin to engage with that breath. Ujjayi breath is one where you make a ocean sound at the back of your throat. You can stretch the muscles at the back of your throat. It's a type of breathing that helps us stay in focus and helps us in some more challenging postures to find our strength and balance. It's just something that helps us to keep reminding us to stay with our breath throughout your entire practice. So begin that Ujjayi breath if that's typically a part of your practice, or maybe give it a whirl, give it a try, see how it feels. As you practice that Ujjayi, you should physically hear that breath as it comes in and out. That's the idea. Do inhales, do exhales. Excellent. Now that we found our breath and focused our mind, let's get our body moving. From here, release your hands from your navel, bring them along your sides for a moment. Draw your knees into your chest and wrap your arms around your shins, and then curl up, bringing the nose in between your knees, making yourself in a little ball here. Relaxing the upper body, allowing the shoulder blades to soften. And then as you exhale, lower back down. Allow your feet to come back down to the mat. Bring your arms along your sides. And with the knees bent, bring your heels back in closer towards your glutes. We're going to find a little bit of movement in a bridge pose from here. So as you inhale, I want you to lift your hips up off the mat and simultaneously Raise your arms up and reach them up over your head as you extend your pelvis and your hips up, drawing your thighs in towards each other. And then as you exhale, lower your arms and your hands as well as your hips, as well as your spine back down towards the mat. We'll do that a few more times. Inhale, raise the hips and the spine up off the mat. Reach the arms way up, lengthen through the fingertips. And then exhale, bring it all back down to the mat. Two more times. Inhale, reach it up, draw those thighs and move together and move lengthen through the knees. And then exhale, lower everything down. One last time. Inhale, raise it up. Reach up through the pelvis, open up through those arms, and then exhale, bring everything down. Beautiful. From here, take a hold of your strap or your beach towel or that throw, and then lengthen it out. Get mine situated here. And then extend that left leg straight out towards the front of your mat. So we're lengthening it out. And then bend the right knee in as you wrap that throw or your towel or your strap around the ball of your foot. And then begin just to straighten that leg any amount here as we open up into that hamstring. Now, that left leg that's here on the mat, I want you to think of really stabilizing through that leg. So it is strong and active. We're engaging the muscles there and feel like the left side of your pelvis and your hip is pressing down into the mat. So maybe flex your foot on the left foot to help that activation of the muscles there. And then gently ease that foot back towards, like you're pulling it forward towards your body, almost as if you were trying to reach it beyond your head. Now that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for me because I'm not that flexible. I know some people who are, but that's the idea here. And you just find your version of this, okay? Soften through your knee as much as you need to. My knee is very bent here, and that's okay. That's about the flexibility. I have tight hamstrings, okay? So you do you. Right? Just open up as much as you can. This is early on, so breathe through it. Excellent. So take a hold of whatever you have here, your strap, your blanket, your beach towel in your right hand. Reach that left arm out for a little bit of counterbalance and open up that right leg to the side. And notice what's happening there. Probably notice it a little bit in the groin and that inner thigh. Maybe a little bit on the outer thigh as well. Just breathe into it. Excellent. Bring it back to the center and then bring that left hand up and take the sides of your strap or whatever you have into the left hand and extend the right arm as you guide that right leg across the body for a little bit of a twist. And maybe your eye gaze follows out over that right arm. So not only are you opening up into the outside of the right leg, but you'll pull that twist all the way down to that lower lumbar spine. And the right side of your hip and pelvis will probably come up off the mat, and that's okay. But actually feel like you're pressing it down and notice what impact that has on the lower lumbar spine. Beautiful. Let's bring it back up through to the center, and then we'll release that, and we'll take this on the opposite side. Extend the right leg out, bend that left knee in, and then wrap your towel, your blanket, the strap around the ball of your foot, and straighten it any amount. We're really engaging into that right leg as we flex the foot, reaching the heel forward, the toes come back. Just notice the difference from one side to the other. This is a tighter side for me, so I really notice it in my glute where it's attached to my hamstring and that outer hip there. But your sensations are probably going to be different from mine. Our bodies are just made in different ways. And just notice where that lengthening is happening for you. Draw that toe, the toes back, the foot back, breathe through this. And then reach the right arm out as you take a hold of your strap, your beach towel, your blanket in the left arm, and then reach the left leg out to the side. The right arm lengthens out for that counterweight there. Breathe into this. You can pressing your pelvis down into the mat to help you with your balance. And then switch your hands. Take a hold of the strap, the blanket, the towel on your right arm. Reach the left arm out. Take that twist as you lengthen that left leg across your body. And maybe your eye gaze follows that over that left arm. Send your breath all the way up and down your spine. Notice what's happening in the lower back there with that twist. And then we'll bring it back up through to the center, and then we'll release that and then just set it out to the side. From here, what I'd like you to do is cross your right knee and thigh over your left knee and thigh, and just begin to hug everything in. And then take a hold of the inside of the outside of your feet, and then draw them back in towards the mat and towards your torso, lengthening through our hips. Now, if you can't take a hold of the feet, that's fine. Just take a hold of your shins or your calves, okay? So whatever is accessible to you. You'll still get a nice stretch within the hips there, okay? So whatever works. And then relax the upper body and think about your tailbone, pressing it down into a mat, as well as reaching it forward to lengthen your spine. Just breathe into that resistance. Breathe into any tightness that you're feeling there. And then we'll release that, uncross, and then cross in the opposite direction. Left knee and thigh over the right. Take a hold of whatever is accessible to you. And then draw those lower legs back down towards your mat or whatever surface you're on. If you're on a carpet or a rug, hopefully you've got some kind of padding underneath you. Keep the feet flexed here. Lengthen your tailbone. Being heavy as it reaches down towards the mat. Beautiful. And then we'll uncross the legs. From here, draw your knees into your chest and then roll over to one side. And begin making your way up onto all fours. So we're coming into our tabletop position. And then when you're in tabletop, making sure your shoulders are over your wrists and your hips are over your knees. You're spreading your fingers out wide here. And then keeping your core strong and active, okay? So when I'm talking about your core, I don't necessarily just mean your belly, your navel, your abdomen. I do mean that, but also it's all the way from your pelvis through your abdomen, up through your rib cage, and then it wraps all the way around your back, okay? So I want everything strong and active. There you go. From here, take a deep inhale. As we exhale, I want you to shift your hips back towards your heels, coming into child's pose for a moment, lengthening through your arms. And then as you inhale, I want you to come forward, bringing your pelvis forward, and then bringing your hips and your pelvis down behind your wrists as you come into a modified up dog here, rolling your shoulders back and lengthening through your hips and the lower abs. And then we'll exhale, press the hips back towards the heels, find child's pose, soften in the upper back and shoulders. And then we'll inhale. We'll come on back up to that modified up dog, rolling the shoulders back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Lengthen to the front side of the torso. And then we'll exhale. Bring everything back to heels. And then as we inhale, we'll come on back up onto all fours. So now that we've moved our spine a little bit between flexion and extension, let's find some lateral movement with our spine. So what I'd like you to do, take an inhale. As you exhale, draw the right shoulder and the right hip towards each other, like you're crunching them in on the right side. And notice the lengthening on the left side and the spaces in between the ribs. As we inhale, we'll come back to a neutral center position. As you exhale, draw the left hip and the left shoulder towards each other as you lengthen through that right side. We'll inhale, come to the center. Exhale, opposite side again. And we'll lengthening in the intercostals and the obliques on the left side. We'll inhale to the center. Exhale, left shoulder, left hip. Look back towards the shoulder and hip if you can. And then we'll come back through to the center. From here, I'd like you to extend your right leg behind you, straightening it out. So we're on the balls of our feet and our toes. And then reach the heel back. So we'll straighten it out and just lengthen through that calf muscle there. There we go. And then we'll find some dynamic movement with this. So we're going to rock back and forth on the balls of our feet, bringing the heel back and forward. A little bit of movement to open up into that right leg. Very nice. We'll come to stillness, and then lift that right leg up, bringing the heel at the same elevation of the hip, and just pausing there. Find your balance here. Soften through your elbows and press into the top of the left foot and the shin to help you stabilize. Your core is very, very strong and active. Take another inhale as you exhale. Draw the knee in towards your chest. The nose comes towards the knee as you round it out. And then we'll inhale and lengthen it out. Reach to the heel. Exhale. Draw it. Knee to the chest. Nose towards the knee. Hollow it. Inhale, lengthen it out. And then one last time. Make a little roll here. And then inhale, lengthen it out. Keep the right leg lengthened. We'll come into our spinal balance here with our sunbird pose. Reach the left arm forward. That left bicep is right by your ear. The palm of the left hand is facing in with the thumb facing up. Feel like you're pressing that right foot, the right heel, into an imaginary wall behind you. Move the right toes down a little bit. So you're a little bit pigeon toe, I guess, with that foot. Breathe here. Soften into the right elbow. Find your core strength. And then as you exhale, lower everything back down to the mat. Beautiful. Take that same sequence on the opposite side. Lengthen that left leg back. Reach to the heel. Stretch through the calf. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Stretch it back and then find that dynamic movement. Rocking back and forth on the ball of the foot. Move with your breath. Core is strong and active. And then we'll come to stillness and raise that left heel up. Bring it at the same line as your hip. Not opening it up to the side, but everything is strong and active. As you draw the hips in. Take another inhale as you exhale. Bend the knee, bring the knee towards the chest. Round your back out. Bring the nose in the direction of the knee. Inhale, lengthen it out. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, reach it out, get long. And then exhale, draw it in. Inhale, lengthen it out. Pause there, stabilize through your core. Reach the right arm forward and that spinal out from the opposite side. Moving through your fingertips. And we'll let pinky toe down. Keep breathing, don't hold your breath. Soften that left elbow. And then everything comes back down to the mat. From here, I'd like you to tuck your toes under. We're going to send our hips high and find ourselves in our first downward facing dog. As we invert into that V shape, bringing the belly towards the thighs. Bend the knees as much as you need to here. An option is to pedal the feet out, raising and lowering the heels, or as you keep the knees bent, just lowering the heels down towards the back. Just want you to find whatever movement feels good in this downward facing dog. Now, what else is happening with your body? We're lifting our tailbone up to lengthen a little bit more through the back sides of our legs. The core is strong and active. Our arms and our hands are active. But the weight of our arms and hands is coming towards the inside of our arms as well as the thumb and the forefinger, which protects the outer edges of our hands as well as our wrist there. Just find your breath. Lowering both heels or alternating with the feet. Heels up and down. You make this a small movement or a bigger movement. A bigger movement brings the hips up and down along with the heels. You find your movement in this downward facing dog. Breathe it out. And then from here, begin to take a walk into a forward fold. And as you travel up, several ways you can do that. You can take little steps and then bend and straighten one knee and then the other. You can take one step with the right leg, one step with the left leg. You find your way up into that forward fold where our torso is just folding over the legs. You can come up onto your fingertips. You can lift your hands completely up off the mat. Exhale into that forward fold. Relax the upper body. Allow your arms to dangle. Your torso is just dangling here. And then take a hold of opposite elbows here for that ragdoll pose. Push the crown of your head down and then sway a little bit from side to side. So your torso is like a pendulum, and then your head is that weight at the middle of the pendulum. And it's just waving here from side to side, swaying back and forth. And maybe you make this a little bit larger movement and get your hips into this movement. Pretend that you have a tail attached to your tailbone, and you're just wagging that tail from side to side as you move your hips and sway your torso from side to side. So you find this free-form movement, okay? Your swaying and wagging of your tail is definitely not going to look like mine. And then release the hands back down towards the mat. From here, I'd like you to straighten out that left leg and find a soft bend into that right knee. I want you to plant your right hand into something. Now, maybe it's just below your knees. Maybe it's a little bit down and towards your shin. Maybe if you're a little bit more flexible, the fingertips can reach the mat. Ground it into something based upon your flexibility. Then we're going to take a little twist here. Our hips are still reaching down towards the mat. We're just twisting from the waist as we reach that left arm out and up. Reaching that left shoulder back. Maybe the eye gaze is forward, or maybe it looks up towards the left outstretched hand, okay? You do what works for you. You'll feel that a little bit more predominantly in that left hamstring here. And then we'll exhale, bring it down. Beautiful. Take this on the opposite side. Straighten through the right leg, bend in the left. Ground that left hand into something, and then reach that right arm out and up. Lower that right shoulder back. Finding the breath. Embrace the difference in your hamstrings from one side to the other. Exhale, lower that right hand down, softness in the knees. And then we'll inhale and gently roll up, stacking the vertebra. Taking our time here. Rolling the shoulders back and down. And then coming to our tall mountain pose, or mountain pose, I should say. Tall mountain is when our arms are up over our head. Strong mountain pose, I should say. All right, so in our mountain pose, mountain is a very active pose. I want you to roll your shoulders back and down. Really find your best posture here. I want you to tuck your tailbone in. Keep your abs active here, okay? And you could just be standing here, but really this is an active pose. A palm is facing forward. If you lift up through the arches of your feet, you'll notice how that activates your legs. So the leg muscles will engage. That's the idea here. Stay in that pose. I'm just going to say hello. Oh, hi, Megan. Oh, you tuned in for a minute. You're going to do this later. Awesome. All right, so just find your breath. Beautiful. From here, on an inhale breath, sweep your arms out and up overhead. Bring the palms together. Exhale here. Take another deep inhale. And exhale, take a crescent over to the right. So we're bumping our left foot out, taking a deep side stretch. We reach our arms to the right and move into the left side of the body. Feel that left foot pressing down into the mat. We'll inhale through to the center, exhale to the opposite side, bump that right hip out, feel that right foot getting heavy down into the mat or whatever surface you're on. And then we'll inhale back through the center, exhale, float the hands down. Bring your arms behind you. We'll take a little bit of a back bend here. Bringing our hands into our lower back, rolling the shoulders back and hugging your elbows in. Now options here. Your fingertips can face down, or you could flip the wrists and have your fingertips facing up, okay? If you do that, you'll get a stretch in those forearms, but that may be too intensive for you, so I want you to do what's best for you, okay? Either way, I want you to bring your elbows in closer towards each other. I want you to push your pelvis forward and feel like you've got a string attached to your heart as you lift it straight up towards the spine. It's a little bit of a gentle back bend here. So once again, keep the core hugging in so you protect the lower back. You can open up your heart. You can lean your head back if that feels good. Now, if you've got strain or tension in your neck or upper shoulders, do me a favor and draw your chin back in, almost like you're trying to reach it back towards the back of your skull. And that will help lengthen those cervical vertebrae, and hopefully it will ease that little bit of tension there, okay? So instead of leaning back, it's this. There you go. Breathe through it. And then release the hands back down to your sides. From here, we'll inhale and sweep our arms out and up overhead. As we exhale, have a seat in a chair. Sit your hips back, sit your glutes back. You're bending at the knees, drawing your thighs towards each other. Our arms are really reaching straight up. The biceps are by the ears. We're tucking our tailbone in. The core is strong and active. Now, keep down. You should see your toes beyond your knees. If you don't, you need to shift your hips back and your glutes back just a little bit. You should be able to wiggle your toes as well. That means that the weight is in your heels. Hold on to this. 3, 2, and 1. Then straighten your legs and then exhale and step forward, fold. Hinging at the hips and bringing the front of your head down as you lengthen through your torso. From here, let's inhale up and find our spinal extension. We're finding a number 7 with our body. The hands are just below the knees or on the shins. Maybe your flexibility allows your fingertips to reach down towards the mat. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is find a flat back. We're rolling our shoulders away from our ears. We still have that core engaged. And I feel like you're lifting your tailbone up slightly, and notice what happens to your hamstrings there. Hopefully feel a little bit deeper stretch as you do that. And then we'll exhale back into that forward fold. I'd like you to bend your knees enough that you can plant your hands down, and then we're going to step back to a type of a push-up or a plank pose. Now, you could be up on your toes or you could be on your knees here, okay? Whatever works best for you. Honor your body. Spread your fingers out wide so you've got those starfish hands here. And then just breathe. Here with your knees up off the mat, with your knees down. Find a little bit of core strength here. Build some heat within your body. We call it Agni within yoga. Either on your toes or on your knees. You're bringing your body weight forward. So we're pulsing our heels and our body forward. So the shoulders are forward of the wrists. And then we're going to exhale and lower all the way onto the mat. On your toes or on your knees. Hugging the elbows in. And you slowly make your way down to the mat. Excellent. Slide your hands back to your low ribs. The tops of your toes and your feet are on the mat. We're coming up into a low cobra here. As you inhale, raise the chest and shoulders up. Draw your elbows in. Remember to draw your chin back in towards the base of your skull to protect the cervical vertebra at the back of your neck. Press into the top of the feet and the toes. Notice the impact that has on the lower back. And then exhale, lower the chest and shoulders down. Beautiful. From here, slide your forearms and your elbows forward, and then come up onto your forearms and elbows. We're setting up for our Sphinx pose from here. Now, your elbows are directly underneath your shoulders and in alignment with your shoulders. Now, one way that you can tell that you got this correctly, you can take your hands with your palms facing in and then cup them around the elbows, okay? That's how you know. If you can't cup them completely around the elbows, then you need to either bring them in or bring them out. So once you cup them, you're in that good position. And then you bring your forearms down and the palms with the fingers spread out wide are down on the mat. Beautiful. Okay, from here, what I want you to do is press into your forearms, press into the base of your palms and your knuckles, and then feel as though, even though you're not moving them, you're tracking them back. You're tracking your palms, you're tracking those knuckles, and you're tracking your forearms back and towards your body. And notice the impact that has. What's happening in your back? Press into your tops of the feet and the toes. Beautiful. Now, some of you will stay right here. Others might be able to take this next progression, which means begin to straighten the arms as you press into the base of the palms. If you notice this too much in your lower back, I don't want you to do this, okay? If this is too much discomfort, then don't do it. Just stay right where you are. But if you can straighten out your elbows, pressing into the base of the palms, roll your shoulders back, hug your shoulder blades in, a little bit deeper stretch in the abs and across the pelvis. Beautiful. And then lower everything back down into that sweet pose. From here, slide the hands back to the low ribs. We're going to press on back up on your toes or on your knees, back into that plank pose. And then we're going to exhale and invert our bodies back into that downward facing dog. Then knees pedal out the feet. Find your breath. And then from here, we're going to travel up to that forward fold, stepping or walking, whatever works for you. Exhale into that forward fold. Inhale, find that spinal extension, form that L shape that we did. Hands on your shins or your knees, flatten the back out, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, fold over those legs. Inhale, sweep the arms out and make your way up to the standing position. Arms raise up. Tall mountain. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Nice work. All right, we're going to work on a little bit of some standing postures from here. Okay, we're going to take essentially the same sequence and add on to it, okay? We're going to inhale and sweep our arms out and up overhead. Take a hold of the left wrist and your right hand, reach up and over, deep side bend on the left side. Or halfway to the center, release the hands, take a hold of the right wrist and your left hand, underneath our breath, reach in and up, and exhale, reach it over, press into that right foot, bump that right hip out. Inhale and put it back up. Exhale, sink the hips back towards the heels. Find your chair pose. Tuck your tailbone in. Core is strong and active. Thighs are drawing in. Wiggle the toes. You see them beyond the knees. And here, bring your hands to your heart center. Let's take a prayer twist. So twist to the right. Hips are facing forward, just twisting from the waist. Anchoring that left elbow just above the knee. And then twisting your torso as you do your best to look back towards your right elbow. Breathing into this twist, extending your exhales. Every time we twist, we're stimulating those digestive organs, getting that detoxification of our body. Excellent, that's what we need. Now, checking with the alignment of your hips here. And one way to tell that is to look at your knees. If that left knee is jutting forward, I want you to draw the left hip back and bring your left knee in alignment with the right if you can. And think about pressing your right shin forward. Breathe out, breathe. And then the next progression of this is to straighten your arms. The right arm could reach up towards the side, the left arm straightens out and the hand and fingertips reach down towards the mat. This may be too much for you. You could stay with your hands in prayer. Doesn't matter. You figure out what works best for you. And then we'll bring our hands back into prayer. We'll inhale through to the center. We'll take this to the opposite side. Evening up through the hips. Right elbow just above the knee. And then twisting from the waist as you look back towards that left elbow. Down at your knees and then readjust with the right hip reaching back and the left shin reaching forward if you need to align the hips. And then maybe extend the arms. Beautiful. And then bring your hands back to your heart center. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, fold over those legs. Inhale, find spinal extension here, that L shape, that number 7. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Activate through the core. Exhale, fold over those legs. Bend the knees. We can plant the hands. Step back. Find your plank pose. Hover in your plank pose. On your toes. On your knees. Now, options here. We can lower all the way down like we did our first time, all the way down to the mat. You can lower down halfway as you bend your elbows, and we call it half push-up. The shoulders and the elbows are in alignment. And then you can inhale up either to a modified up dog with your knees and your shins up off the mat, or a full up dog with your knees and your shins up off the mat. So many options here. You choose the one that works best for you. Roll your shoulders back, and then we'll exhale. We roll over those toes, making your way back to downward facing dog. Paddle out the feet. And then this time on an inhale breath, send your right leg up to the sky and reach through the heel. This is our 3-legged dog. So we're evening out our weight distributed between our arms and our hands and the left leg as much as you can. Lengthening through that right leg, hugging your hips in. And then we'll open up into the right hip. I want you to bend that right knee. And then feel like you're stacking your right hip over the left. As you flex the right foot, bring it in the direction of the outside of the left hip. Nice. And then we'll lengthen that right leg back up. Reach to the heel. Take another inhale. As you exhale, I want you to bring that right foot forward in between your hands. You might need to utilize your hand to bring that leg forward, and that's okay. So we're in a low lunge here, reaching through that left heel. Let's put that left hand on the inside of the right foot and take a twist towards that right leg. We reach that right arm up towards the sky, lengthening through that left heel and through that left leg. So once again, we're twisting through the waist, turning forward, and opening up and stacking our shoulders. And we lengthen and get long through that left leg. Reach the heel back. Excellent. Exhale. Lower that right hand down. From here, let's raise on up to a high crescent lunge, hugging your hips and thighs in as we find our balance. Now, you might need to bend that left back knee for help with your balance. Go ahead and do it if you need to, okay? So come on up. If your balance is really off, you can also lower that knee down for a grounded lunge, okay? That's okay too. You find that version that works for you. Find a balance here. Hug your hips in towards each other. That right knee is directly over your ankle. Once you've found your balance, straighten out that back leg. Find your breath. Your hips are in alignment. Both of them are reaching straight towards the front of the mat. Take another deep inhale. As you exhale, I want you to bend your elbows like you're forming cactus arms. And then bend that left knee and lower it down in the direction of the mat. And then inhale, raise the arms up a little bit. Exhale, bend the knee, go close those arms, open up to the chest. Inhale, raise it up. Exhale, bend and lower. Inhale, raise it. And then exhale, lower. Beautiful. Come on back up. All right, from here, A little tricky. We're coming into a balance pose. We're coming into pillar pose from here. So what that means, I want you to bring your weight onto this right foot and right leg as you straighten out that right leg. And then you're going to bend the left knee and bring it forward. So the knee and the thigh are parallel with your hip, okay? So let's do it. Bring your weight onto the right foot, then the left knee. Bring it forward. There we go. This is pillar. So you got this nice right angle with your thigh, your knee, and your shin. Bring the balance here. Take a little twist. Bring your right hand on that left thigh. Open it up. Reach the left arm behind as you guide that left knee and thigh across the body with that right hand. Your eye gaze can remain forward. It can look to the side, or if your belly is balanced, you can look back towards that left arm. Core is strong, hugging the hips in. Beautiful. Come back to the center. Let's find a warrior three. Reaching that left leg back. Hands can remain at the heart center as you hug your hips in, hug your thighs in. Core is strong and active. You reach your arms forward, full the full extension of that warrior three. Soften into the right knee. The weight is in the heel of the right foot. Excellent. Pull the toes back down. Reestablish the high crescent lunge. Ooh, I go a little wobbly there. Beautiful. Exhale. Lower the left heel down. Find yourself in warrior one. Beautiful job. Now, make sure your hips are still facing the front of the mat in your warrior one. You might need to walk that right foot out a little bit, an inch or two, okay, to find your balance. All right. If you're a little bit wobbly, that's okay. Really grounding into the outer edge of the left foot. So that knife edge of the left foot, that pinky toe side. And then raising the arms straight up. The biceps are by the ears. Drive your pinky fingers back to lower the shoulders. Take another deep inhale. And then straighten that right leg. And then as you exhale, we're going to lower down over that leg, finding our pyramid pose. And this is maybe where you want those books or those weighted boxes or your blocks on either side of your leg. Don't have to, though. You can also place your hands and then balance them somewhere on your shin or just below your knee. Hands can be on whatever. Or maybe the hands or the fingertips are down onto your mat. You find your version that works for you. Lots of options and variations. So you would do what works best for you in your personal flexibility and mobility in that right hamstring and the other hip and glute. Feel like you're drawing your right hip back into its socket and the left hip forward to align the hips here. You just allow your torso to drape over that right leg. The belly is just resting on that thigh. The chest is reaching towards your shin, and the chin is reaching towards your ankle and foot. Really good. And then as you breathe into that right knee, and then you can release your props out to the side, reaching that left heel up, planting the hands down, and then stepping that right foot back to meet the left. We find ourselves in that plank pose again. We'll take that same set of postures to make our way to downward facing dog. You can always skip those all together and just go straight to downward facing dog. So either on the toes or on your knees, lower down either all the way to the mat or halfway down. Inhale up for that modified up down, knees and shins on the mat, or full up down, knees and shins up off the mat. Roll the shoulders back, press the pelvis forward. And then exhale back. Downward facing dog. Form the angry V shape and power out the feet. And take that same sequence on the opposite side. Inhale, send that left leg skyward, reach through the heel. Hug your hips in. And then bend the knee and open up into that hip, stacking that left hip over the right. Flex the left foot. Try to evenly disperse the weight into your arms and your hands. And then extend that left leg straight back up. As you exhale, bring that left foot forward. Use your left hand if you need to. Coming back up to that. Oh, first plant the right hand on the inside of that left leg and then take a twist towards that left leg. Opening up the shoulders, stack the shoulders, reach to that right heel. Exhale, lower that left hand down. And then from here, inhale, raise it up for that high crescent lunge. Bend that right knee for extra help with your balance. Hug your hips and thighs in, core strong and active. Find your balance. High crescent lunge. Once you've found it, straighten out that back leg. Soften your shoulders, slide your pinky fingers back. And then find our pillar on this opposite side, bringing the weight onto that left leg. As you bring that right knee forward, find your balance in pillar, form that 90-degree angle between your thigh, your knee, and your shin. And then take that twist, left hand on the knee and thigh, extend that right arm behind. As you twist from the waist, the hips are facing forward, guiding that right leg across the body just a little bit, doesn't have to be far. Eye gaze can be forward to the side, back towards that right outstretched arm, just depending on your balance. And then bring it back to the center. Hands at your heart center, setting up for our warrior three. Strong core, hug your hips in. Lengthen through that right leg. Soften to that left knee. Strong and active with the core. Maybe reach the hands forward. Find your balance. Do the best that you can. If that right foot needs to tap down, if this is what your warrior three looks like, that's fine. That is okay. All right? If it just is raised up a little bit, that's okay too. You find your balancing point. And then ground the right heel down onto the mat and establish your warrior one. Maybe you need a little bit wider stance to find your balance, and you can walk that left foot out a little bit. Hips are still facing forward, one across from the other. You can bring your hands down and align your hips. Press into the outer edge of that right foot, the pinky toe edge of that foot. And then straighten through that left leg. Inhale, feel like your waist is lifting up from your hips, and then exhale as we hinge at the hips, and then lower down. Maybe your hands come down to blocks, maybe they rest on your shins, maybe they're down on your books or your weighted boxes. Just allowing your torso to surrender over that leg. Extend your exhales to release the outer hip, the hamstrings, the glutes. And then we'll move down into that right knee. And then plant the hands down. Step the right foot up to meet the left. Exhale into that forward fold, and then just hover in that forward fold for a moment. Have your hands behind your thighs or maybe behind your calves there, and just lengthen through your spine, lengthen through the back sides of your legs. And then from here, I want you to bend your knees, plant your hands down, step your knees back onto all fours for a moment, and then raise your torso back up. So we're kneeling position. We'll find a camel pose from here, okay? So, options with camel. Lots of options, lots of different progressions that you can begin with. So we're going to begin with our hands on that low back, drawing your shoulders back, drawing your elbows in, and raising up through your heart to press your pelvis forward, keeping the core strong. Now, there's more progressions that we're going to go through. Each one that we go through, I want you to be sure that your hips are over your pelvis. If you find yourself getting into a progression and you notice your body starts to lean back here so that your body is here, your knees are there, you're putting a lot of pressure on your knees to stabilize, and I don't want that, okay? So if you get yourself into that progression and that's where your body wants to go, come back to that progression just above it, okay? So that we are softening our knees and protecting them. Yep, you've got to protect those knees. So open up, find your first progression in this camel pose. And then if you feel like you've got more space, the next progression is to bring your hands down behind those thighs, just below the glutes. So pressing forward with the hips and with the pelvis. Now, you can lean back, you can run a chin in. You can also find the next progression by reaching your fingertips back towards your heels. Once again, still pressing the hips forward. Hips are aligned over the knees. And then the final progression, our ultimate camel pose, is to reach the fingertips back to your heels. Now, I can't do it with the tops of my feet on the mat. I can do it with my toes tucked under, and I can still press my hips forward. But that may not be possible for you to keep the hips forward. If it's not, then just stay like so, okay? Or stay with the hands behind the thighs, or the hands back here on your hips. You determine what works best for you in your personal camel posture. Our flexibility in our spine, from the mid back to the upper back here was what we're working on. It's very, very different. And then we'll raise it back up. And then we'll exhale, coming back down into child's pose. Now, I'd like you to bring your knees out wide here and bring your toes together and snuggle your belly down in between those thighs. And then just relax your back. Let it get settled from that camel posture. Maybe the forehead hovers over the mat, or maybe you can bring it all the way down. Option just to relax the arms, or maybe you press into the base of the palms and the knuckles a little bit. Get a little bit deeper stretch across the upper back and shoulders if that feels good to you. Just find your breath here. And then you need to walk your hands back up underneath your shoulders. And then from here, just cross out your ankles or slide your legs over one side onto a seated position, and then bring your knees back with your feet flat on the mat. And this is where I'd like you to have, if you happen to have that bolster or pillow or something that's kind of oblong, have it handy, okay? So we're just going to lower down onto our backs. We'll get a little bit of core strength. Bring our hands behind our knees and thighs, and then gently lowering down, starting with the low back, and then moving to the mid back. And then the upper back lowers. Beautiful. Once you arrive here, give your knees a big squeeze, wrap arms around your shins, curl up here, bring the nose in between the knees. Take yourself into a little ball, baby. Squeeze with the knees in. And then we'll lower the chest and shoulders down from here. And then from here, what I'd like you to do is just send your legs straight up towards the sky. Now, if you happen to have a block, you could also just come into a modified shoulder stand. So you can, this is our first version with just our legs extended up. If you happen to have a block or a book, you could also, as your feet, our knees are bent, our feet are flat on the earth, lift the hips up, and then slide that block underneath you. You can experiment with which height works for you. You've got basically 3 elevations. And then support your tailbone and your hips on that block. And then straighten your legs up towards the sky. So that's an option, okay? Or some of you, maybe, can go into a shoulder stand. If you've never done a shoulder stand, don't do it now. But if you've done it before, raising our hips up, supporting the edge of our hips on our back, up onto our shoulders, running our elbows and the upper arms towards each other. Lengthening up. Like I said, if you've never done this before, I don't want you to try it for the first time right now. I'd rather you do it under the absolute guise of instructor right there in front of you, okay? So you come into one of those other earlier versions with the legs straight up or the hips supported by your block, by your book, okay? You do you. This is so great. Anytime that we have our feet up above our heart, it allows all those fluids to come back down and feed our heart, feed our brain, blood flow. If your legs are tired, this is wonderful for that. You can just simply have your legs literally sitting up against the wall with your hips up against the wall. This is great for your thyroid and for your thymus. So many benefits of having your legs up above your heart. And then if you're in a shoulder stand, you can come into plow, bringing your feet back behind your head, or just stay where you are if your legs are straight up for now. Pause here in your plow. If your feet don't reach the mat, I want you to still keep your hands supporting the lower back. And then we'll gently lower down. If your legs are straight up, and if they're on a block or a book, I want you to bend your knees into your chest and then lower your feet down. And then slide the book, the block, or whatever is underneath you out from underneath you. And then gently come down with the knees bent, feet flat on the mat. Nice work. From here, let's just open up our hips. Crossing the right ankle just above that left knee and opening up the knee and the thigh, forming this supine pigeon pose on our back. And then bring everything, the legs back in towards your torso as you lengthen through that left leg. You can also keep it bent as well. But you'll get a little bonus stretch in that hamstring if you lengthen it. We're going to flex both feet. Reach that right hand into that figure four in between our legs there, and then wrapping that left arm around the outside of the left leg and placing the hands behind the left knee and thigh, and helping to squeeze those legs in just a little bit further. Now maybe your right elbow can access that right thigh and press the right thigh open a little bit. You can also use your right hand to press it open if that feels good. You just need a little bit greater stretch, okay? So you do what works for you. Breathing through it. Breathing through that resistance. Encouraging that right hip and outer thigh, left arm alone. And then we'll bend the left knee, lower everything down, and then we'll uncross. We'll set up on the opposite side. And I think we'll just go to the knee, open up to the left to the thigh. I do everything in, then straighten that right leg up. Move through and release behind that left knee and thigh. Give everything a big squeeze. Keep those feet active and flexed. Breathe into it. Do your best to stabilize and away to that right leg that allows that left hip and thigh and that outer glute to open up safely. And then release. And then uncross the legs. From here, form a 90-degree angle with your thighs, your knees, and your shins. Get your arms out to the sides, and let's just float our legs to the right as we look out over the left arms. Our arms are teed to our body. We'll just take one last twist here. And then we'll inhale back up and establish that 90-degree angle. Exhale to the left as you look out over that right arm. And then we'll inhale, bring it into the center. Exhale, lower the feet down. From here, take that bolster if you can. Now, if you don't have the bolster, you can lower down onto your forearms and elbows. We're coming into basically a modified fish pose or supported fish pose. Opening up the chest and then pressing to the base of the palms and your forearms here. Once again, you can draw your chin if you've got that resistance or that tension in your neck, or you can lean your head back. But if you have a bolster or an oblong pillow, you can lower your spine directly, lay it directly on the pillow. Now, I want a portion of your head to be supported by the pillow. If the top of your head leans back, as long as that feels comfortable for you, that's okay too, all right? So we're either going to stay in that supported fish pose on our forearms and elbows, or we're just going to lay here. I'd like if you're on a bolster or a pillow, I'd like your arms to be along your sides with the palms facing up. If you're in that supported, obviously you're supported with your forearms and elbows. And then we can lengthen our legs out. Feel like your inner thighs are drawing in towards each other. Your big toes are coming in towards each other. This is a great way to just undo all of that hunched over positioning that we find ourselves in so much of the day. As we lean over, looking at our phones, our tablets, our computers, whatever else it may be. So we are counterposing those poses that we spend so much of our day in. Now, if you're in a supported fish pose here, up on your elbows and forearms, you gently slide your elbows and forearms forward as you gently lower your shoulders and your back up onto your back. Now, we're going to set up for Shavasana. Now, this is a comfortable pose for me, so I would prefer to stay like this. If you've got a bolster or this oblong shaped pillow underneath you, or if not, you can roll on off of that pillow and set up for your regular Shavasana. So the right foot goes to the right front corner of your mat. The left foot goes to the left front corner of your mat. You're just allowing your knees and your thighs to open up. You're relaxing every single muscle of your body. Think about relaxing your toes and your feet, your ankles, your shins, your calves relax, your knees and the backs of your knees, your thighs and your hamstrings, pelvis, the abdomen, the glutes relax, the rib cage, your lower back, the middle of your back. Cross your chest in front of your shoulders, your upper back and the back of your shoulders, your head and your neck, your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms and hands, your fingers relax. All the muscles of your face relax. Think about that space in between your eyes softening. You soften across your forehead and your eyebrows. You allow your tongue to rest in the bottom of your mouth. To allow every single body part to sink down into your mat. And these next few moments, reimagining yourself bathed in that light. With nothing to do. Nothing going on in your mind, just you. Begin to find depth to your breath. You need to feel your body and bring your awareness back into the nice placement on the mat, the placement of the body within the space where you're practicing. Find some gentle movements, fingers and toes, maybe roll out wrists and ankles. Whatever feels good to gently awaken the body. Lengthen through your feet and your legs, and then reach the arms up overhead with a deep inhale for a full body stretch. Take an open mouth exhale. Release any tension that you may have caused from your practice. Gently and slowly. If you're up on a bolster or a cushion, roll down gently off of that, or just roll down to one side, and then form a pillow with your hands, stack your knees and your thighs together into a fetal position. Stay there for a moment and find your breath. We're going to slowly make our way up to a seated position. You're going to straighten your arms and gently raise your torso up, allowing your head to be relaxed to rise. We'll come into a seated position at the front of your mat. Bring our hands to our heart center. Soften your eyes. Take a moment to be thankful. Give praise to yourself for carving out this time to experience all the benefits that yoga has to bring to your body, to your mind, to your breath. Share it with those surrounding you. And I wish you the ability today to experience the light within the darkness. It's so easy for us with our eyes and with our mind to see the darkness, but it takes a clear vision to see the light that's coming through in those crevices. And I wish you that ability today to find the light in whatever it is that you're doing, with your family, with your work. Find the light and then be the light. The beauty, truth, and light in me honors the beauty, truth, and radiant bright light in you. Namaste. Thank you all for joining me here today. It's such a blessing to have you here with me. I hope you enjoyed that practice. Give me a little feedback here. Let me know how you did. And I will be back here. If we're not back in business at Yoga Studios, I will be back here next week. But it's a wonderful to see you all here. And thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Julie, for being here from North Carolina. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Megan. I will see you all hopefully sometime soon. Be well, my friends. Bye-bye now.